Hello, this is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, filling you in since 2002. We're going to be looking at Wreckage and the Tiger Paw. Wreckage, also known as Sabertooth, was created years ago for the g.i. Joe original line. He was a recolor of Firefly, who was never released originally in the Real American Hero lineup, but was featured in catalogs, like a few of the Tiger Force action figures. Back then, he was called Sabertooth, and only years later was he released as Wreckage. We suspect that he was renamed Wreckage to avoid trademark issues with Marvel's Sabertooth character, also produced by Hasbro in the Marvel Legend action figure line. Many people didn't like the original Firefly action figure, and it was extremely rare also. This was back when the classified line was updated and modernized as opposed to a straight representation of the classic 1980s, 1990s action figures. Hasbro listened, so they provided a new version of Firefly, which was more retro, and when I saw this, I decided to skip this action figures, knowing that it would come back eventually as probably Sabertooth or someone else. And I was right to do this. Well, here's Sabertooth and the Tiger Paw. I'm so glad I didn't buy the original Firefly. So let's look at this guy. By the way, I wanted to say thank you for watching this. I know Wreckage has been released a few weeks ago. I'm not the first reviewer to review this action figure, and I'm not the biggest channel, the most well-known. So if you're taking the time to just watch this review, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot to me. What can we say about Wreckage? Well, it's obviously a recolor of the ferret. The Tiger Paw is exactly like the ferret. In fact, it was announced, if not a few days or a few hours after the original ferret. I don't believe the ferret was even dry when it was sold out that Wreckage and the Tiger Paw were announced. So it's exactly the same. Now, if you allow me to indulge in my head canon, Wreckage is a double agent. He looks too crazy, too mean to be a G.I. Joe character. I think he's a saboteur who's been competing for years against Firefly, that the G.I. Joe forces hire when they have dirty jobs to do, but also Cobra. So he's kind of a free agent. He's not a Cobra per se, and he's not a G.I. Joe per se. He's a double agent, and they all know. But whenever you have a dirty job and you don't even want to use your own guys for the job, you use Wreckage. Why? Because Wreckage looks crazy. Look at this face. Is this the face of a Joe? No. This is a face of a crazy guy. He looks even crazier than the original Firefly. With his goggles on. Well, no, okay. Firefly also looked crazy. Now, for many people, this recolor, well, this retro Firefly was the figure that they wanted. But it seems that the figure was a bit more wobbly, and Wreckage, apparently, since I don't have the retro Firefly, is more solid. I can vouch for that. The problem with the original Firefly, this guy, is that his gear didn't allow him to move his waist, so he feels kind of stuck, blocky. And this is not what people envisioned when they wanted a Firefly. They wanted a guy that was mean and lean, a bit like Wreckage is, which is why I think that Wreckage is not a real Joe. He's a free agent hired by both Cobra and G.I. Joe. They both know that he works for the other side once in a while. And I guess he goes with the highest bidder. And I think it's a fun way of looking at him, since this guy is too crazy. But he's allowed to go in places, in countries that the Joes cannot go, do the job, and leave. Plausible deniability. He's a bit like a Firefly, but you could say a bit more ethical, in the sense that he can even be hired by the US military, whereas Firefly is completely on the Interpol list and so on. So this is my original Firefly. It came with goggles. Now, the Tiger Paw is exactly like the ferret. Nothing changed. It's exactly the same thing. In fact, some of the parts seem like they're exactly the same. Well, there's a little bit more blue in the red of the laser cannon and the missile and even the gun. This one is more pure red, less blue in it. But it's the same mold with the same traction here, the same tires, everything is the same. So if you've got a ferret, if you were one of the few lucky who got a ferret in the original Go, this is exactly the same and you're used to this. Now, one problem I've been having with this guy is that the cannon, the laser cannon, whatever it's called, keeps on falling easily, whereas on the original ferret, it's more stable. It feels a bit looser here. I don't want to press it too much because I don't want to break the plastic handle here, but it's not as tight a grip as in the other ferrets. So suspension, you can move this. You can see where you can fill up the tank with gas. You can remove this weapon here. I would have liked the kind of weapon that you can put that stays on, that has ammo. There is no ammo with this thing, so it must be some kind of laser cannon or something special, or something that doesn't have much ammo, like self-contained somewhere, but it's not perfect in that sense. Paint job here, independent suspension, which is very nice, perfect for all terrain. You can put some gear in here, backpack and so on. It's very good to carry stuff. It can carry 2 characters. Like here, I'm putting all my ninjas in there. But Wreckage, being a guy, he's a bit thicker, bigger. So it's not as easy to put a second figure in there. Now I'm not going to try with Firefly, since Firefly is a bit more stiff and fragile. I don't trust that Firefly would survive being put in there. What can I say about the sculpt? I don't know what part are being reused with Wreckage, or this mold. I'm not sure exactly if Firefly was completely original or even if some parts were used for the retro beachhead. I don't know. I haven't found out yet. But we do know that Wreckage is a complete repaint of Firefly. The articulation seemed good. This is a 90-degree. You can twist his bicep. He has double articulation and they're pinless. They work quite well. It's got the inside articulation on his wrist here, and the up and down on that one. Ab crunch. His head moves quite well. Up. Well, not so much. You can look down. Side to side. Attitude. Ball joint here, which doesn't move so much. You'll probably have to pull down his belt once in a while so it looks better. He comes packing with a lot of weapon, grenades, explosives. He's a demolition guy from what I understand. He's packing more ammo. This pistol also fits with the suppressor, silencer. But it's kind of loose, right? So it fits better on the submachine gun here. But the good thing is that you just have to put it in the holster here and forget about it. You can go all the way down. He's got drop hips. Now I don't like the drop hips, but Hasbro's been fixing them, making them less wide. The gap is smaller, so they look better. Double knee articulation, they're a bit stuck sometimes, but if you play with it a few times, it's going to become a bit looser. Like this. And no, he cannot kick his own ass yet. You can turn the shins 360. You can play with the rockers in the ankles. I don't want to push too much. Feels like it could break. It's a very light submachine gun. You can remove his knife, put it back in the holster. I always wonder if it's tactically a good way of storing a weapon. Can't your opponent just grab this weapon from you? Now, the backpack feels like it's not tight. That's because the belt is so thick here. So it feels a bit loose. He doesn't come with some of the gear that was missing. Well, I mean, that was included. You still have the mines, which are better than tripwires. But there's a drone missing here. So he doesn't have that drone that would just plug in the backpack here. It came with wheels, like a small robot. He doesn't have that. And neither can you open the backpack, unfortunately. It would have been fun to be able to open the backpack and see what's inside some of the stuff that he's using. But you don't have that with him, unfortunately. Firefly's backpack was a bit more streamlined, but could carry explosive. Let's see if those explosive can be exchanged. So yeah, you cannot put the dynamite there. It doesn't fit well. You could force it, but it's probably gonna open the peg hole on the dynamite bar, so it doesn't fit. He also comes with a trigger to detonate his weapons, but the problem is that it doesn't come with any drones. Unlike Firefly, who comes with a drone, Wreckage has no drone. The original Retro Firefly had a drone that could roll, but there's none for this guy. You can also put the helmet on his head. He looks like Donatello, or Michelangelo I should say, from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It looks a bit silly, but it's up to you. I think this figure is great. I wasn't sure about getting it, but I've got it now. The sculpt is very good with a lot of details all over the body. The scale also fits. He's a little bit shorter than the original Firefly, and that's okay. No problem with that. I recommend this figure, even though it may be a bit difficult to get this character. The Tiger Paw tends to be sold out everywhere. It was a Target exclusive and obviously on Hasbro Pulse. In Canada, you could get it at GameStop. I wasn't expecting GameStop to pull through, but they did. I ordered it months ago, and part of me was hoping that they wouldn't fulfill my order, because those guys take a lot of space, and having 3 of them means that there's less space for other figures. I guess I'm gonna have to cut down on my Marvel Legends. If you've made it this far, I'd like to say thank you. It means a lot to me. I do this just for fun. I'm not trying to become the biggest YouTube channel, and I'm just having fun reviewing those figures, which is my favorite line, the G.I. Joe Classified. So, this is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, filling you in since 2002. Like and subscribe, and leave a comment. Bye.